Hello, 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 and welcome, all my friends in YouTube land. We are playing on Sleeping Giant Domination. I am rocking the Midway today, I think for this video, I was probably working through the Bureau project for the ZOW. I'm very interested and excited about that, and we're getting to the later stages of it. Once we were, during recording of this, right? So, I think we needed to get a win as a legendary tier carrier, right? So, Midway it is. I do have the Japanese one as well, and I enjoy that ship also. I do think I like the Midway a little bit better. And I tend to have a little bit better games with it, right? But so we pre-drop here. I'm kind of a fan of just taking that YOLO chance shot through the zone in case the destroyer is really pushing hard, but I doubt that's gonna mean anything, right? So I see, we get spotted, and then our squadron gets spotted here, and I am looking on the mini map where his airplanes are, and they were kind of in the vicinity as well. So I turned away from him and then dropped our fighters there. And it looked like he kind of did the same sort of thing, right? So you put your fighters down where you suspect their torpedo or bombers are going to be, and then, yeah. But anyway, so we pick up the Soviet destroyer here, which I'm not a fan of. They have pretty decent AA. So in order to conserve planes, I'm going to not fly over all the other ships behind him, though. So, it's always tough to hit destroyers when you're the carrier. I do think the Midway has a little bit of an edge there. You get, with these torpedo bombers, each of them drop 2. And then same for the bombers, right? For the HE bombers, they also drop 2. So it is a little bit easier to hit destroyers with this carrier. But it's, it's still tough, right? So I feel like I do my part here, and I'm at least keeping it spotted for a good chunk of time, and then I'm like, you know what, like, I'm not going to all my planes are going to die, I'm not going to get anything on him. We got a decent run at this main here with our last 2 guys, and now last 1 guy. Let's at least try and put some damage on the board, right? And that destroyer, that Kerberversker, whatever it was, he wasn't an immediate threat to our teammates. And to be honest, nobody was helping me shoot him, so I'm not, I'm not going to keep him spotted. But we have other videos out there. I won't try and gripe too much about how everyone tells me I need to only go after destroyers when you're the carrier, because I disagree with that. Go watch my other videos if you really want the full explanations, right? But I think it's always circumstantial, right? So, I'll go if I feel like I got a good run, I'll go after them, and if I feel like my teammates are helping me shoot those destroyers, I'll just fly over them and keep them spotted until somebody takes them out, right? So, but we do have a cruiser that's playing smart, at least for the moment, an allied cruiser going in towards A, who is picking up that destroyer. So I have high expectations that my teammates can manage that destroyer on their own. So we will start doing some damage to these battleships towards the outside. So we pick on this main again that we got lucky and hit earlier. And so we did trigger that flood, so now we've got a fire going on him. So hopefully that fire sticks for a little bit. We probably shouldn't have damage gone too soon, right? And then, of course, I like to alternate for the most part, unless, a particular situation arises. But I alternate between the torpedo bombers and the HE bombers, right? So we pick up the torp guys again. And I can see that my allied destroyer in Zone B here is getting picked on by the airplane. So I'm flying over him in order to drop fighters over top of him to help support him. I do think that with the carrier, the challenge with it is there's so much. It's such a heavy, it's such a high support role, thing to do to play, and you're never going to satisfy everybody. So just ignore the hate mail that you get. Everyone's going to tell you did it wrong, but that's one of the things I like to do is trying to appropriately position those fighter planes. You don't want to put them too close to enemy ships because they'll go down super fast. But yeah, so I feel like that was a good move, even though the enemy airplanes kind of left that area pretty quickly after we dropped them there. But Anyway. So yeah, so I headed over towards C since I see that my teammates are kind of getting run over, overrun on this side. And then I am going to have to move my ship as well because it gets picked up here as well. So that means there's a destroyer in here, right? So we will have to find him and hope that we can get some hits on him. This is the situation that I hate the most, and it's fine. It's occasionally a good move for a destroyer to go after the carrier, but it takes you all that time to get over there, right? And then if the carrier keeps you spotted and allies help shoot, then you're gonna go down quick, and then it's gonna be a waste of your ship, right? Your life, right? But yeah, so like I was saying, it is a little bit easier to get hits with the Midway on destroyers. So we had 2 successful runs there where we at least got something out of it. On that destroyer, right? But like I said in some of my other videos, like most, this is kind of paired with the fact that this carrier is a little bit better going after destroyers, but for the most part, most decent destroyer players are gonna be able to dodge, carrier attacks, right? So that's kind of where I'm like, you know what? I need teammates to help shoot, right? When I'm playing the carrier. But yeah, so we'll pick on him mostly because right now he's the biggest threat to myself as the carrier. He was spotting us, and that's really bad because even though he's not close enough to get torpedoes on us or we're driving away from him, he's spotting us, and the battleships and cruisers that are behind him are going to want to shoot us, right? So that's why it's kind of still important to try and get him off the board and focus on him, right? And as you can see, we are losing planes quickly and aren't going to have full squadrons to be able to launch every time here. So that's where that sort of pre-drop management, especially early on in the game, where you're dumping torpedoes in the water at nothing basically, so that you're sending airplanes back to your ship instead of flying the full squadron over top of fresh enemy ships that still have all their AA mounts and stuff like that, right? So we'll see if we can't pick up the destroyer again. We had a little bit better luck with the bombs, but even this time being over top of him too gives our ally a chance to shoot him. Come on, give me more than that. The other thing too is if we ignore him and fly over him to say, okay, we at least spotted him as we flew over him, then that's, he's got decent AA. Look at that. That's pretty good. So we'll have, our planes will be that much more damaged while we're trying to attack the next ship in line, right? So it makes sense to try and get him off the board here, especially since he's so low on health. So we have success there. So nobody can say I never go after the destroyers when I'm the carrier, but part of it is because this is the Midway. I feel like it's a little bit easier to actually get those hits, right? So a little bit less in danger, so we autopilot our carrier to kind of move back closer to the battlefield. The other thing to kind of keep in mind is, how long it takes, how much time you're spending flying to enemies, right? So it's always best to keep your carrier unspotted, but at the same time, if you park it in the back corner of the map, you spend more than half your game flying to enemy ships versus actually doing bombing or torpedo runs, right? So that's the thought process there. Use the autopilot, keep yourself close, but not too close, right? So so I still have planes left because I do use fully packed on my so I do have fighter planes left, right? So we're dropping those over top of this ship. He is kind of in the a little bit in the too much in the middle of all the action, right? So he's getting picked on by everybody on the enemy team, but we will do what we can, put those fighters over top of him. Hopefully they can take out some enemy aircraft, right? But yeah, so yeah, you want to keep your carrier close to the battle, but not too close, right? That's the idea there. So that way you're not spending a bunch of time flying. We'll make that torpedo drop after that cruiser, and then go and grab. Yep. So yeah, so now we at least have a full squad of HE bombers here, and we do get a hit and cause flooding, so that's awesome. So if we can go, we'll kind of see what what it looks like once we get over there. But now would be a good time to get a fire triggered on that cruiser since he probably uses damage gun. So I'm gonna do a pre-drop here just because I'm gonna be flying over both of these ships at once. So I don't need to lose too many ships, right? And then they're getting kind of close to our detectability range for our carrier, so moved the carrier away again. Wah, wah, right. But we'll line up with this. What was this? Ship of Bismarck or something? Whoever it is, they've got good AA. Oh, there's a Schlieffen. Yeah, so I think that's another German battleship, right? So we get a fire triggered on him. And then, yeah, so as you can see, we've literally got one plane for each airplane type. But those bombers that we pre-dropped just landed. So now we've got 4 for the bombers, right? So, yeah. The planes take way less time, you know, if they're able to fly back and, you know, survive for that little bit of time after you do drops. If they're able to survive that, then they show up at the carrier way sooner versus, you know, being, you know, rebuilt or whatever you want to, you know, regenerating, respawning. That takes way longer. So that's why you do those pre-drops. You know, when it's appropriate, right? So, and the Midway's one, you definitely want to manage that well, because otherwise then, yeah, you end up with no planes. You know, you'll get one. You'll be flying with 1 bomber or 1 torpedo bomber, and then, you know, by the time you're over top of an enemy air, you know, an enemy ship, then that your plane gets shot down, and it was completely useless, right? So, yeah, so we're on the run at the moment. This battleship is within our spotting range, right? And then we did drop fighters kind of in between us and them, because that's the path that their airplanes have been taking. So hopefully, you know, I feel like I was doing good the whole game. So we dropped more, right? Because we're rocking fully packed for our legendary perk, and that gives you more. You get 1 more extra. Yeah, we finally got some shot down. Did we get this kill? But yeah, so we're rocking fully packed because then you get those extra fighters, right? And me personally, I feel like that makes a big difference. Being able to use those fighters to either like put over top of your friendly ships to support your friendly ships from enemy aircraft, right? Or to spot enemy aircraft. You know, you can put them, you know, over a mountain or something somewhere, and as long as they're out of the AAA range of that ship, you can keep enemy ships spotted for your allies as well. So like, it's kind of a, you know, you can use them for either or both at the same time, right? But yeah. So we will get 1 run, and I'm avoiding going right after that cruiser because I can see his the enemy fighters over there, and they would wipe me out, right? So you know, the enemy carrier has some of the same thoughts that I do, and put some fighters over top of his ships to help support them, right? And I don't see them anymore, so they may have timed out. They usually are only lasting a minute, right? That'd be a cool, like a, you know, carrier commander perk to have like the fighters last longer or something like that. But yeah, so we're taking heat from him. And the other reason too that I'm being a little bit more conservative at this point in the game is if I lose these guys, I literally, you know, if they get shot down, I literally only have 1 other, you know, bomber ready to go. On the carrier, right? We got torpedo guys that we could launch, but yeah, for the dive bombers, it's just these guys. Yeah, so it's a Des Moines. Those American cruisers got some pretty hefty AA, so it was smart to be a little bit more conservative with the you know, with the shot here, right? So he turned and tried to dodge some of it, but thankfully these airplanes all drop 2 bombs at a time, right? So now we will chase him down, right? But yeah, so I feel like this game here, we've got about a minute left, right? So 174,000 damage, 2 kills, that's pretty good. One of those was that destroyer, right? But yeah, so I feel like we managed, I mean, maybe we could have done a little bit better, but we managed the airplane getting shot down situation, strategy, whatever you want to call it, pretty well. As you see, we were able to launch. You know, this will be our last run probably, right? And we've got, you know, four torpedo bombers. So that was quite well managed, and at least in my opinion, right? But we got a lot of our planes shot down, right? But yeah, so we could have maybe done a little bit more pre-dropping earlier in the game, but it worked out for us, right? So we'll see if we can sneak this last kill here. We gotta do too much turning. Yeah, so I waited a little bit there. because, and then we're going to whiff it because we're going to run out of time. Yep. I wanted to like be able to swing around a little more there, and then to get like a better, you know, to not be trying to shoot right up his butt. But then of course he did the smart thing and kept turning, and so we totally whiffed that last shot, that last shot, which is like a huge bummer, but whatever. Right? We won on points as the time expires. We'll see where we end up on the leaderboard. I feel pretty good about that game. Yeah, so we got some bureau points down there at the bottom. Yep. And then, yeah, we ended up at the top of the leaderboard for the winning team. Score 1 for the good guys, 2,700 XP with the 2 kills. I always kind of feel like if you're in that like top half, even like carriers are challenging, especially if you're trying to chase down destroyers. Like you're not going to end up with a good score. So I feel like if you're in the top half, you know, on your team, you did well, right? So I do have a lot of defensive inspirations that I've had on my carriers, and as I've gotten a little bit more confident with them, I've been switching them up to be a little bit more offensive, right? So and I think I do have, I have this I don't know what, some weird event that we got space fishy from, right? From like some random crate, but faster torpedo speed, right? So I'm putting this one on. I'm going to try this out too, sort of for my next go around. But yeah, for the most part, I liked to have the extra AA defenses for my inspirations. So I would pick AA defense commanders for inspirations, because I was just like, you know, I always got kind of sick of the other carrier rushing after you while you play the carrier, right? Which works, you know, in certain situations with certain carriers, right? But otherwise, I think it's kind of silly. So it was always nice to know that, you know, if the enemy did that, if they were attacking me, you know, carrier on carrier action, that I was shooting down a lot of their airplanes, right? Because then they run into that challenge of not having planes to launch later in the game, right? So that was my biggest thought process behind having those extra AA defenses for the carrier, right? But as you keep it hidden and move it around the battlefield a little bit better, I kind of like, you know, been kind of getting a little bit more confident moving those out and putting something more offensive in there for inspirations. But thank you for watching all the way through, guys. Please do subscribe to the channel. I have World of Warships videos coming out every day, so we will see you tomorrow.